Good morning, virtual villagers. Welcome to Festival Vibes Part 2. Today we're going to look at a water bottle carrier and a sun cream pouch. We were just saying earlier on that after this weekend it should really have been wellies and an umbrella pouch, but you can adapt it. If you just bear with me while I fetch up my live video feed, I can also get all your comments. So if you're out there, give me a wave, say hello. So what we're going to cover today is our second part of our festival outfitting. So what we have got is a water bottle carrier like this, which is made with macrame string. So it's like basically it's like a it's gone blank, like a string bag. You'll also see on my let's get you in the camera on mine. I'm sorry about the light today, but the sun's come out after a disastrously wet weekend. So I've got this nice floral cuff around my bottle as well. Might not have time to show you how to make that, but I have made a little video that I'll pop up on my page later. So that's your pouch. So it's got a strap and it's carries your bag like that. Now, your sun cream pouch, I've also knocked up a little extra for you, another little extra, basically the same, but your sun cream pouch is fabric, and you can see I'm using these two fabrics. Are lovely. They're Jules fabrics. I got fat quarters, and really they are very, very nice. So the coordinates, I've tried to use colours to coordinate. So this is your sun cream pouch. They're both very similar. It's just a little bag, basically. We've attached a ribbon to this one. This is your other pouch, which I have put my sunglasses in. And I've used a little bit of cord on this one. Put them both on a keyring ring, split ring like that. And then a little dog lead clasp, because I've also been making dog leads. And then, oops, I'm trying to show you everything. You could just clip that either on a belt or, hang on a minute, to your bottle. Now, I have been struggling a bit today with the view you're going to get because you need to see a big work surface. So hopefully you'll be able to see it all. I've got an eye on the live stream as well, so I'll try and keep an eye on my going out of vision. So I'm just going to pop you down and show you what you need to make what we're going to do today. So just bear with me a sec. Now I'm aware you can see my cutting board, so we'll try and keep my hands on there. I may have to move the camera around a little bit so to make sure you can see everything. So what we need today, we need our fabrics. So that's the one with the pink base. Where's my navy blue one? That's over there. And that's my navy blue one. That needs a bit of a press, that one. So those are my fabrics. I'm also using today, you can sew your fabrics. If you've got a machine that is ideal. If you can hand sew very neatly, that's great. If you can't sew, this is Wonder Web, I think you call it. So what you use for hemming trousers if you can't sew, or skirts. So we're going to use that to make our seams. I've also got Velcro, although we use that for the bottle cuff, so I might not have to use that today. And what else have I got in here? I've got my big fabric scissors, and I've got my little general snipping scissors. I've also got my disappearing pen. I've got a split ring for a key ring. I've got ribbon, so I've got that lovely bright pink, and I've also got navy blue. I've got my macrame cord. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. I've got some interfacing. That's quite good. You iron this onto the back of your fabric and it stops it fraying. So it is quite useful for these sort of things. If you don't want to hem, it's quite good. What else have I got in here? I've also got some navy blue macrame cord because I'm coordinating those two together. Can you see on the handle? I keep going the wrong way. I've used the navy blue to do the binding knots. If you've watched me on previous things, you'll know the binding knot was a little bit of a disaster last time, but I think we've got it. I use a cigarette lighter just for sealing the ends of my ribbon so that doesn't fray. I've got needle and thread ready threaded for you. I've got a few pins just in case. Got my glue gun. We are going to use a little bit of glue. And what else do we need? That's in here. I've got a little bit of double-sided tape because I struggled to hold the bottle, to hold the string on the bottle. But I'll show you the trick I came up with the double-sided tape. So that's everything we're going to need. I'm just going to pop all of this back into my little tray here at the side. I'm going to start with the bottle carrier. So I don't need all the fabric. But I do need my little scissors. Okay. So for my bottle, I'll just take the carrier off the bottle. You can see it is basically a small string bag. And the bottle fits in it. I have used the gathering knot at the bottom. So this is a macrame knot called the gathering knot to make a little tassel. You don't have to do that. You could just have it flat at the bottom. And I have plaited the strap and used again the binding. It's a bit of a stray cord there. I don't know why I didn't snip that off last night. I've used a binding knot again at the top just to join those two straps together. So that is our basic carrier. Now the cuff, I'll briefly show you it. I might not have time to show you how it works, how to make it, but as I said, I have done a here's one I've done earlier. So it's my fabric that I'm using. I've backed it with the interface to stop it fraying. Measured it so it fits around my water bottle with about a 1/2 inch overlap. And then I've just decorated, trimmed it with ribbon and put the Velcro on. That's its fastening. It's just a way of making your bottle look a little bit more fun. So that is the bottle cuff. I'm going to leave that off just for now because while you're making your macrame bottle carrier, it's a bit awkward. So this is my bottle, reusable. Hope you're all using reusable and not single-use plastic. Screw off lid. I'm going to take the lid off while I do this just because I can then sit my bottle on its end. This is my macrame cord. Now this one, I don't know whether you can see, whoops, whether you can see that. This is going to come into focus. This is a woven one. It's woven like sash cord, gives it a little bit of a stretch. The navy blue one that I'm going to use later is plied. And by plied, I mean it's several strands twisted together. It tends to fray at the end, whereas the sash cord style one doesn't. So I'm going to use this one for the main work and this one just for adding a bit of contrast. Navy blue and that pink again matches all my fabric. So what you need to make your bottle carrier is 6 strands of this, 1 metre long. Now my table luckily is just about 1 metre. So I always go 1 metre. I always give myself a few inches extra. So that's 1. And I'm going to cut it as I measure it because yesterday I didn't and ended up in a knot. That's a macrame pun in case you didn't get it. So then you just need to measure all your others the same length as the one you've cut. So I want 6. I should have cut these earlier, but at least you're seeing how I'm doing it. Well, for some reason, one of them's a bit shorter, but that really won't matter in the grand scheme. So this is 4. If you're wondering about where you can buy this kind of macrame cord, you can buy it at Abercan. I don't know whether everybody has an Abercan all over the country, but I only know you can buy it there because my daughter-in-law bought some last week to make she's got budgies. She was making something for the budgies. Okay, so that's our 6 strands of cord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What we want to do we're going to start at the bottom. We want all the strands. If you want a little tassel like mine, you want to get all these strands even so they're all together at the bottom like that. Can you all see me okay? So I'm just going to, we do tend to get a little bit in a knot. I keep saying that. Right, so my strands are together there, and I'm going to do mine with a little tassel. So about an inch, maybe an inch and a half up, I'm going to put a gathering knot. Now, I'm just going to move my bottle out of the way. I'm going to get a length of my navy blue, about, what's that? I'm going to get about 12 inches, just so I've got plenty. There's my navy blue. I'm going to fold over about a third of it to make a loop, like that. Can you see me? The light's not very good today. Then I'm going to do a binding knot. I'm going to bring you a little bit closer. Too close. My tripod doesn't tip. It's a new tripod. It doesn't dip down as far. So what you do is you place your dark blue cord on top so that the loop is at one end and you've got a loose end at the other, which is down near where the end of your tassel is. You pick all those cords. Oh, there's my little dog come to join us. All those cords up together in your hands, and you take the longer end and making sure that this end is free and the loop end is free, you wind tightly around all your strings, keeping it as tight as you can and working from the bottom towards the loop. So I'm putting 4 binds round on mine, and then this loose end that you've been binding, you put through the loop like that. Sorry, through the loop. Okay, so now I've got my binding 4 times round and it's gone through that loop, and I've now got this loose end here. Now what you do is you pull that loose end, that tightens the loop. I don't know whether you can see this happening, and when you keep pulling, the loop disappears. When you've not got a lot of binding, it is a little bit tight and you do have to pull. What happens is the loop disappears under the bound bit, so then you've got 2 ends but your knot is inside. Now that's a really good secure binding. It is a macrame knot. It's used a lot in macrame. What you can do now is cut off these ends, so just by snipping them with the scissors. That one was quite short, that one's a little bit frayed, so there. So now you've got a nice secure bind, a little tassely bottom, and you're ready to start knotting. Now we will do another binding knot, as I say, on the handle, so don't worry too much about if you didn't see that. I'm going to tilt the camera back up again and move it backwards so you can see what my hands are doing. So now I'm going to start on my bottle, and what you want to do is you want to spread your 6. This is where everything gets, you want to spread your 6 strands evenly around your bottle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the thing I did, this is where the double-sided taping, when I started knotting, it kept slipping, and you need to do it over your bottle so that your bottle fits in it. You know, sometimes if you tie it without a form, it's too tight or it's too big. So what I did was I put a little bit of sticky tape, double-sided tape on the end there. That would hold that in the center, and then spread out. It keeps falling over as well. Spread out I really struggled with this yesterday. Spread out your 6 strands. One thing I tried, and it did work quite well, but it's not something everybody will have. I had this paper cone. It's come out the center of a cone of yarn. Now that worked quite well, but the only problem is it does take it a little bit out of your vision. I'll tilt the camera up a little bit more and then you can see, because I want you to be able to see me tying the knots. They're not complicated knots, but I do tend to, I have to knot it from this side, which is awkward for me because I can't see what my hands are doing. So what we're doing is just a simple overhand knot. And we want to do one, right, the first one, right at the edge of our bottle. So if you can see what I'm doing, take 2 strands. I'm just tying overhand knot, which is just an ordinary knot. Pull the strings through and then try and get the knot so that it's at the edge of your bottle like that. Pull it tight. That's it. Can you see that? Now, that's about an inch on my bottle, but your bottle might be a different size. So then what we do is we turn it round and we take the next pair of strings and we do the same again. So we tie it, we find at the edge and we tie our overhand knot to fit there. Now, if you do macrame, you can use a square knot. It's a little awkward because we don't really have enough strands, but you could do more strands in your bottle if you wanted to do a square knot. But this is something everybody can tie a knot. So there we go. That's our second knot. We've got 2 now, and turn it round again. And now a third pair of strings. We're going to do the same again. Just going to move that because it's shifted a little bit, so it's back in the middle of my bottle. Find the edge and tie a knot. I'm just going to say a few quick hellos while I'm doing this. Isabel, hi. Irene, hi. Irene watches quite a lot. Who else have we got? Eleanor watching as well. Eleanor lives near me. Right, so that's our first 3 knots. Now, this is the same principle as making a string bag, except the string bag's bigger. So what we're going to do now is we're going to split our pairs. So I'm going to take 1 string from that one and 1 string from the next one. And I am going to, again, about the same distance, about an inch from the edge of my bottle, I'm going to tie another knot. I can't see what I'm doing, so I should be looking at my feed on the camera. Now that's come off my bottle, so just bear with me a second. My double-sided tape has actually lost its stickiness now. I knew this was going to be difficult. Right, stick it back on. Right, so you can see I've tied another knot about an inch down from the top of the bottle. So this is the cord, spare cord from that pair, and I'm going to take a cord from the other pair, and then I'm going to tie knot these 2 at around the same spot, about an inch away from the other knot. Can you see that? It's actually working better than I thought this. So you can tell what a disaster it was yesterday. Just need to move that up a bit. So you're not, before you pull your knot really tight, just double check that they're about even, which they are. Then we're going to take our last 2 strands that are left over, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to do the same again. We're going to tie a knot, keeping my tassel in the center. I'm going to tie a knot about an inch down, up there, maybe there, and take those 2. It does get easier as your strands get shorter, I assure you. It's always the same when you start anything with macrame. It's really hard when you've got huge long strands. That's just got a little bit uneven. So try and keep your knots at an even length, and already you can see it's starting to look like the bottle carrier. So then we just go around and do that again. So I'm going to move on to this knot, the next one. I'm just going to keep turning it round in an anti-clockwise direction. As long as you keep going in the same direction, it doesn't matter whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise. I'm going to take 2 strands, and again I'm going to leave about an inch from each of the other knots, roughly about there, and tie another knot and keep going round. Now I will do that quickly now because you don't need me to explain it anymore. So that's the strand from there and that strand from there, just so that we've got plenty of time to show you the next thing. So I'm going to knot it away from you if you don't mind, because it just makes it easy. So I've said hello to a few people. Oh, there's another Irene watching as well. So we have two Irenes this morning. And oh, Heather as well. Everybody's popping up now. Please say hello. I don't know what your weather's like today. I know we British always talk about the weather, but it was horrendous here at the weekend. It was so wet. It rained for about 48 hours. My husband had he bowls Crown Green bowling, and one of our local clubs had their 100th anniversary. Absolutely tipped it down. John was playing in a ukulele band to John's my husband to as part of the entertainment, and he got washed out. They ended up being in like crammed into the clubhouse, and anyway, and me and my son had to stand outside in the rain to listen to him. But today's dawn beautiful, and I think I know the reason why today's dawn beautiful for us here in Ellswick is because today we're being judged by Britain in Bloom. Our village is quite famous for its floral displays, and the judges are coming today. So I reckon the In Bloom committee have all been praying all night that it would be sunny. Now I'm on to my third round of knots now, and it doesn't matter how many you do, as long as you do enough to hold your bottle. So I think I did 4 on my other one, but I might stop at 3 because I don't want you to get bored while I'm knotting. I don't want you to go away. But we'll take it off its cone in a minute and have a look and see what we think. My dog keeps wandering in and out. Right, let's have a look at that and see what we think. So there's my tassel, and it is quite stretchy, as you can see. So do you think? I think that needs another round of knots just to bring it up to about here. So I'm just going to do that, pop it back on its cone, and start again with my splitting of pairs and knotting. As it goes up as well, you can probably make your knots a little bit further apart, maybe 2 inches, because we know now it's going to fit, and it doesn't really make a huge difference as you go further up. It needs to fit quite snugly at the bottom. Oh, somebody's asking me how long the strands were. They were a metre. I say a metre and an inch spare, because I always cut a little bit extra. But a metre is more than enough. You don't have to use macrame cord. You could just use string. You could use yarn, knitting yarn, whatever you've got. As we like to be quite eco-friendly with it, so we don't really want to use plastic cords if we can avoid it, or acrylic cords even. But these are cotton, and it's the way they're woven that makes them stretchy. And you can see that that's big enough. So that's 4 rounds of knots. If I hold it up again, you can see how your tassel still stuck to the bottom. You've got your tassel, and you've got your water bottle bits, and you've got your these are going to make the handles, the rest of this. Okay, so we've used about half of our cord. Now what I'm going to do is sit it on just on there. This is my roll of Bondaweb, and I'm going to sit my bottle on it because it gives the tassel will make it wobble. I'm going to shove you a little bit further back, excuse me, just so that you can see again what my hands are doing. I'm going to bring all 6 strands up to the top, and I want them to be evenly spaced. So I want all my knots to be together, to be at the same height. So to me that seems about right. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to plait them, so we want them to be, the bottle to sit quite squarely in it. So what I'm going to do now, I think, if I can find, I've got some clips. Pegs are ideal, clothes pegs, but I'm using these quilting clips at the moment. They're going to hold all my strands together while I work the plait. So it's a little clip like that, and it just grabs all of them. And then I can stop worrying now about it sinking back down. Although I'm still going to sit it on the thing underneath. My tassel keeps getting in the way. There we go. I'm utilising all sorts of things today. Right, so what we're going to do now is split these into 2 threes. So we'll 3 there and 3 at my side. And let's see if I can get this so that I can see it and you can see it. Each of these sets of 3 I'm going to plait. I'm going to try and plait. So just quickly, I'm going to do it quickly. Everybody knows how to plait, don't they? I'm assuming. So it takes me back to when I was a child and had long hair and used to braid it. I've never had long hair since because I've never had the patience to grow it. So I'm going to keep going till I've got about an inch left. If you want shorter straps, that's fine. You can just plait them however long you want them and then cut the ends off when you've got an inch. And leave an inch, I should say. The trouble with plaiting is you really do need it to be firm, what you're plaiting from, and this is not plain ball. So I'm plaiting down more or less to the bottom of my bottle. I say leave an inch, but can you see my plait is now the length of my bottle. And then I've got another clip. I'm going to just pop that on the end there to stop that unraveling, if I can. And then I'm going to plait the other side very quickly. Now, my plaits are not very tight. You could do yours a bit tighter, but I am struggling with it rolling all over the place. Did this yesterday as well. Ideally, if you could get something to grip your bottle, or a person to grip your bottle, I should really have brought my glamorous assistant in to grip my bottle. That gives you a bit more purchase while you're doing your plaiting, but it's fine. It just keeps rolling away from me. Whoops. Is everybody with me still? You can all see me. At least you can see me, which last time I kept going dodging in and out of vision. Did you see my flower crown demonstration, which was the first part of my festival? That was amazing. I had 20,000 views of that. So again, I'm plaiting that as far as my bottle is long. Now I can take that clip off and put that on the end of my strap. Right. Now, let's see if we want you to be able to see. I've got my two plaits. I maybe should have knotted them there actually when I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go back and do that now. Again, just an overhand knot, just to stop them unraveling that way. So I can pull my plait through, all the way through. And just knot that there. That'll stop the plait unraveling that way. So you're putting a knot that's basically at the top of your bottle. Sorry if it's a bit noisy. I've got the window on, taking advantage of some nice fresh air that's full of rain. It's so hot and humid. There we go. Yeah, so I've got my two plaits, my bottle carrier on my bottle. These are more or less even. And what I'm going to do now is join these two together with another binding knot. So let me bring you a little bit closer so you can see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to overlap them by about an inch, so maybe an inch and a half. So I'm going to move my clips so that all 6 strands are inside. You can use clothes pegs for this. In fact, clothes pegs I use a lot of in macrame. They're very handy for keeping your strands from getting tangled. I'm just going to move them down a little bit so I've got plenty of room to work on. So this bit is where I'm going to put my bind. Okay. So again, I want a strand of my navy blue. I'm going to take quite a long strand. This is going to be about 2 foot long, just because I want to have plenty to work with. I'm going to make my loop about 2 inches, 3 inches maybe, longer than the gap, so that the loop's above the gap and the other end is below the gap. So you can use your clips as a marker. Can you see? I'm aware that you're not very close. I'm going to lift it up in a minute when I start binding. So this is what I've got, my 2 clips, and there's my loop. So my loop is above it, above the clip, and the bottom end is below it, and this is my working strand. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my working strand and tightly bind. So I've got that end, the loop is being bound inside the 2, there's the loop. So, and that's my first bind, and I'm just going to keep binding tightly all the way up to the other clip. Again, this gets easier as your thread gets shorter, as in all things macrame, and I hope I've allowed enough to go all the way up to that top bit. Just going to put the loop over the clip so that it stays in place. And it's nice because it matches the bind at the bottom, and the colours all coordinate with the fabric I've used. So hopefully I'm going to have a nice end result. Just keep winding round and round. Headers joined us. I'm aware that we are a little short of time. We might fill our whole hour. Probably won't have time to show you how to make the cuff, but I'll pop that video on my page, What Kate Made, and you can all have a look later today if you decide you want to go with the festival vibe. Now, I'm just going to remove that clip there. I've got my loop. As before, this binding end is going to be put through the loop and pulled right through. Okay, like that. And then this is the other end of the loop, and I'm going to pull hard on that, and it's pulling. Can you see the loop disappeared underneath? You do need to manipulate it just a little bit with your fingers because it's quite tight to pull through. What we're aiming to do is this end to disappear, our knot to disappear under the binding, so that when we cut it, the ends are under the binding. So by pulling it hard and just manipulating it a little bit with your fingers, you can get it so it's disappeared under that end and that end. Take your other clip off, and then we just cut these blue ends off. Yep. And then our bits of leftover about where we plaited, I'm going to cut those as well as close to the binding as I can. And voila, bottle carrier. Fancy. Got our little tassel at the bottom. I'm just going to free that from the double-sided tape so you can see it a bit better. Tassel at the bottom, our knotted string, and our lovely handle. Let me turn you back up so I can hold it like that. Easy peasy. Do you think? A few knots, you've learned a little bit about macrame. Got a really nice reusable bottle carrier. So we'll move on to our sun cream pouch. I'm going to put my bottle to one side. We'll put everything together later. Get rid of my bits of thread. I'm going to turn the camera down so you can see this. I'm also going to use an iron today, which I better switch on, because I am using the Bonder web and not sewing. But feel free to sew if you've got a machine or if you're good at hand sewing. So this is the fabric I'm going to use. It's really nice. It's a Jewels fabric. I got it as a fat quarter. Now I'm lucky in that I've got the self edge of the fabric here, so the self edge doesn't fray. So I'm going to just leave that. If you have a cut edge, you can hem it with the bonder web. So I'll turn you down again so you can see my workspace. So this is the wrong side of my fabric. If I was hemming it, I would turn over about 1/4 of an inch. Put the camera back a bit further so you can see me. There we go. This bonder web is about 1/2 inch wide. It is a little wide. I will hem this so you can see. So what I did was cut it in half. So I'm just, oh, that was lucky. That piece I've just torn off just fits. So you can either fold it or cut it. I cut it because I found when you try to fold it, it just sprang apart again. It's quite fragile. You can tear it, but I wouldn't try and tear it along this length. So I'm cutting it in half. So I've just got a thinner strand because that just makes it a tiny bit easier. So you're not getting such a thick seam. As I say, you can sew it. Okay, so I don't think you can see my iron. I'm just going to turn you around a little bit. There's the iron, my little ironing table. I'm going to place that strip along that edge and just fold it over so that it's enclosed within, and then I'm just going to run my iron over it. You'll have done this before if you can't. I'm just going to iron the rest of the fabric while I'm there. So that's what we've got. We've got a nice hemmed edge. Now we're going to make the pouch in the same way, except we need to fold it now right sides together. So you're folding it that way, so the right sides are together. Can you see me? And I'm going to pin it just so that it doesn't slip about when I'm trying to hem it. So I'm going to put one pin there at the top. I'm going to put another pin along this bottom edge. Not too close to the edge because I need to be able to get my webbing underneath. So my strand of webbing, the one I cut in half earlier, will be enough to do the side hem. So what you do is, I'll turn it that way so you can see, is put your webbing close to the edge all the way along. Hi to Ali. She just joined us. I'm just gonna take my pins out because that's actually not quite square. I'm covering it at the top but not at the bottom. So you want to cover from both sides, cover the bonder web, and then I'm just going to nip that bit off at the top because if that gets on your iron, it's horrible to get off. Put my pin back in, and then I'm going to fuse that with the iron. Good tip for ironing: if you get something on your iron, paracetamol. I know it sounds stupid, but you heat your iron up and you turn it off, but while it's still hot, rub a paracetamol tablet over it. Takes all the gunge off. The paracetamol melts, but it's amazing. I always have a pack in my craft room because that's my crafting iron, which is like an old beat up iron anyway. So I've cut another piece of my webbing that is the same length as that bottom piece, but again I'm going to go inside with it. So probably would have been better to do this all in a oneer with one piece, but hey ho, this is a little bit more tricky to just tuck it in. But there, so that's now inside, and I'm going to seal it again. Now I wouldn't guarantee this is going to be 100% washable. I'm not sure how washable bonder web is. Whenever I've used it to do hems, it's been fine. So before we turn it out the right way, I'm just going to clip the corners. That just helps when you come to push out the corners. Just double checking that it's sealed quite well at the top, it seems to be. Now, we want to add a loop on this of ribbon, which I possibly should have done, but I'll show you. I'm going to use this this navy blue ribbon because it matches my whole colour scheme. I'm going to cut a piece about, let me measure it on the, about 3 inches, like that. You don't have to use ribbon, you can use cord, you can use string, you can use anything. So I'm just going to fold that. I'm going to keep that to one side while I turn this pouch the right way out. So it's always a good idea to leave your bondi web to cool a little bit before you turn it. As I say, sewing would be better, but if you're an absolutely abysmal sewer, then this is something you can do without having to sew. So turn that the right way out. It is beautiful fabric, this. I'm just going to use my scissors very gently to just poke the corners straight. And then I'm just going to once again run the iron over it just to make sure it's stuck down. Okay, so there we go. Now, your ribbon, I'm going to put that in at the opposite edge to the seam, just because it makes it easier to sew. So I'm on the inside, I'm going to put my ribbon and I'm going to stick a pin through it just to hold it in place. And I am going to sew this by hand. I'm going to attempt to sew this by hand. Now, I have threaded a needle. Unfortunately, it's threaded with pink thread, but that will be fine because that'll be a nice contrast. And it will actually tone with what I've got here. So I'm going to backstitch this on. First of all, I'm going to hook through my ribbon, and again, I always double my thread and tie a knot in it, so I've got a little loop at the end that helps anchor the ribbon. Then I'm going to come up, backstitch. Do you know how to backstitch? I'm sure you do. I shall try and demonstrate. So when you backstitch, you come up and you come up and you go down behind tiny stitch, and then you bring your needle up again about the same distance in front of where you came up the first time, and you just do that, keep doing that. So on the front you've got a line of fairly neat small stitches, and on the back it kind of overlaps. I'm sure you've done backstitch. I've got a bit of a loop, but never mind. I'm not the world's best hand sewer, that's why I have a machine. I'm just going to take my pin out because it's making it a little bit awkward to catch the fabric. Lost where I am now. So final stitch through to the back, and then we will fasten off our ribbon at the back. Don't know whether you can see that. It is more untidy at the back than the front, but you're not going to see that. So now this we're calling a sun cream pouch. I'm just going to fasten this end off and knot it. It could be for anything. As I say, I made another one in the navy blue and popped my sunglasses in it. Right, so that's our pouch. If there are little bits, that end is not quite secure, what I will do is put some more bondi web on it, or I might in the end might just put a stitch in there. But let me just try that and see if I can stick it a bit better. As I say, and I keep saying, stitching is probably your best bet, but I'm aware that not everybody's a good stitcher or hasn't got a sewing machine. Right, so we're ready to assemble all our bits together now. here's our bottle carrier, and here's our sun cream pouch. This is my split ring, so it's a split ring that you would use for keyring. And I'm going to open that up and thread the ribbon through it. My nails are splitting. Doesn't want to work. Opened it up wide enough. There we go. So I'm threading that on there. Not very successfully, but maybe I should get my scissors in it. I'm going to hold it open. That's a better idea. And then I can just slide the ribbon on. There we go. So that's on there. Keep turning it round till it's all the way on. So, and then I'm going to use my dog lead clip, or you could just use the lobster claw clip, whatever you've got handy. Don't even need a clip really. You could just thread your split ring onto your bottle carrier, but I just find that with the clips you can take it on and off then quite easily. Right, so that just threads on as well in the same way. I'm sure you've all know how to use a key ring. And then we can clip that to our strand. And there we go. Let's pop our top on our bottle. And that's our bottle carrier. That's our sun cream pouch. As we said earlier, with the way the weather's been, if you made this longer and thinner, you could actually put your umbrella in it. Let me just, oops, turn the camera off. So that's us all ready for our festival. I'm not going to a festival this year, but it doesn't have to be a festival. It could be a picnic, it could be anything that's going to be outdoors. And I think you'll agree the colours are absolutely stunning on this. Right, so we're done. As I say, I've got a little video I've made at home. Where's it gone, the cuff? To show you how to make the bottle cuff, just to make your bottle look at. Oh, you're a bit too high up there. Just to make your bottle look a little bit, so you can coordinate your bottle with everything else. I shall pop that up this afternoon when I've edited it properly. Now, I am on 2 sessions next month, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something that I've acquired recently. So these, I don't know whether, if you're as old as I am, you'll remember Golden Hands. I recently acquired some Golden Hands magazines. Now these are 1970s craft magazines. They've got loads of things in them. They're like a treasure trove. Knitting, sewing, woodwork, metalwork, all sorts of things. So what I'm going to do for you is pick at random some things out of the Golden Hands magazines, and we're going to do a couple of sessions of vintage crafting. So that's coming up in August. I'm not 100% sure of the dates, but I'm sure the village hall can pop them up. So that is a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing in August. Vintage crafts. Vintage, authentic 70s crafts. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you all get a chance to make yourself a bottle carrier. As always, please pop along onto my page, What Kate Made, on Facebook. Drop me some pictures in there. Send me them on WhatsApp. Again, if you search What Kate Made on WhatsApp, you should find my business WhatsApp account. You can always send me a message there with pictures. I hope you've enjoyed it. So I am now going to go out and take advantage of the sunshine. Take my little dog for a walk. He's been housebound for a couple of days because he can't swim and it's been really floody around here. And yeah, thanks for joining me. So next time, vintage crafts, and I'll see you then. Bye.